Okay, you know that on routers and switches, how we can check the configurations. For example, on router, on this router, the username and password is Cisco, and to check the configuration with the command show running config, we can check the configurations. If you check the running config with the command show running config, as you can see, we have some configurations related to enable secret and IP addresses on fast Ethernet, IP address 192.168.11.254, and on fast Ethernet 01 192.168.13.254, and the configurations related to telnets. We configured line with device 0 to 15 with exec timeouts and password Cisco. If you are going to check the IP configuration and interfaces, we have another command, show IP interface brief, and you know that with this command we can check the interfaces we have right now on this router: fast Ethernet 0, 0 and fast Ethernet 0, 1. And as you can see, we have IP addresses configured on this on these interfaces, and the status is up and protocol is up, which means that if you check, for example, show ARP, as you can see, the MAC addresses related to this interface, we can check the MAC addresses too. We have another command, show CDP neighbor, and with show CDP neighbor we can check what devices are connected to the interfaces, and as you can see, to this router the switch 1 is connected to this router. So when you type show CDP, you can if the CDP is enabled, you can see that on these interfaces we can check that this switch is connected, and we can get the information related to this device. So if you type show CDP neighbor detail, as you can see, on this interface I am connected on this router. I can check that on this router. On this interface, the Cisco 2960 is connected on these interfaces, and with more information you can check the Cisco iOS version as well. And you know that on configuration, the CDP run configuration is important, because if you configure CDP run, obviously with this command you can enable CDP on the devices. And if you disable, for example with no CDP run, if you disable, obviously you cannot check the information, and as you can see, CDP is not enabled. And it's very important, because we should, if we need to get information with CDP, we should in configuration mode we should enable with command CDP run, we should enable. And it's important to know that with under interface fast Ethernet 0, for example, with CDP enable, we enable CDP so we can get the information with this protocol. So I should wait depending on the time we configured, but by default CDP run is not enabled on some devices depending on the platform. But right now, if you need to disable with no CDP, you can disable. With CDP run, you can enable. Okay. And what is important is on Cisco devices, on routers, for example, we can reload the devices with the reload command, but we should write the configuration before reload. So, for example, here, if I'm in the configuration mode with the command do write, I can write the configuration, and with the command do reload, I can reload the router. So this is important when you need to reload the devices, just for your information. But there is no difference. For example, on switches, it's the same. By default, the username and password on switches and routers and in this configuration files in packet tracer is Cisco. For this lab, enable Cisco. And if you check the configuration for the switch, as you can see, we have no configuration by default. We have no configuration for interfaces. We just configured the enable secret, and for interface VLAN, for example, we have no configuration, but for line console and line VDI we have for line console we have the configuration, but for line VDI we have no configuration. So you know that on switches, to check the interfaces, you can check the physical interfaces on switches and logical interfaces. What I mean by that is exactly to check the physical interfaces if they are connected to the other devices, and the logical interfaces, the SVI, for example, interface VLAN and IP addresses. So we have different commands. So on switches, with the command show interface status, we can check the interfaces. We have, depending on the switch model, we have different ports. For example, in the switch we have fast Ethernet 1 to 24. We can connect the ports to end devices, and gigabit interfaces, GI01 to 2, GI01 and 2, as you can see. And mostly we connect these ports to other switches, uplink ports, gigabit interface ports. And as you can see, fast Ethernet 1 to 5, these ports are connected to other devices, and the status is connected, and by default VLAN 1, which means there is no tagging. Duplex is auto, speed is auto, means negotiation. Depending on the other side, it negotiates. So it can up based on 10 or 100 base, depending on the technology and capability. So with the command show interface status, you can check the interfaces if the interfaces are up and running, the description, the VLAN, the duplex speed, and the type. And with the command show IP interface brief, you can check the interfaces if the interfaces have IP address or not, we have no IP addresses and we haven't configured any IP addresses, as you can see. So show CDP neighbor. As you can see, this switch is connected to router 1 and we can get information. This switch is connected to router 1 local interface, as you can see, to router 1 from fast Ethernet 0/4 and 0/5 from this switch to router 1 fast Ethernet 0/0 and fast Ethernet 0/1. So show CDP neighbor detail. We can get more information related to the other side, router 1. The platform is 1841, the model number and the iOS version, as you can see. And you know that with the command show version, we can check the information related to this switch that we are connected, and as you can see, this switch is 2960 and information related to this switch. On the switches with the command show VLAN, we can check if we have virtual LANs or not. By default, we have just VLAN 1 and VLAN 1002 to 1005, as you can see. And as you can see, we haven't configured any VLAN on this switch. As we haven't configured any IP address on this switch, if you type show ARP, you can see that we have no ARP entries on this switch. And this switch is layer 2, so we have no routing table, so we cannot check the routing table. But on router, if you type show IP route, you can check the routing table, and we have 2 interfaces, and we configured 2 different subnets, 2 IP addresses, and 2 interfaces. So when you type show IP route, because these interfaces are up and running, at the routing table you can see the networks, and we have 2 different networks, 11 and 13, as you can see. And when you type show ARP, you can see that 11.254 and 13.254 related to this router, and the MAC address related to the interface fast Ethernet 0/0 and fast Ethernet 0/1. If you check the interface, show interface fast Ethernet 0, as you can see, the MAC address on this interface. And if you check the ARP table, as you can see, the MAC address is this MAC address. And if you check the interface fast Ethernet 0/1, and if you compare the MAC address, which is this one, and if you again check the command show ARP, the result of that, as you can see, it equals to this one. Okay, just some basic verification commands for routers and switches.